Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bridgehead. My name is Jonathon Van Maren, and today we're going to be taking a look at the pro-life movement, which we've done quite a few times, but this time we're going to be taking a look at the international pro-life movement, most specifically a story out of the Netherlands. And it's an interesting story mainly because, as my guest will detail, the mainstream media has been virtually silent on this story, even though Dutch abortion clinics have been caught in massive fraud cases to the point that some of the abortion workers and doctors have been fired, and some of the Dutch clinics have actually shut down. The reason this is such an interesting story, especially for the Netherlands, is many of the listeners will remember that I've written a lot of columns and I've done a lot of interviews on the situation in the Netherlands, and it's never a very good situation. We've discussed the euthanasia levels in the Netherlands. We discussed recently how the Netherlands was seeking to pass, or at least was considering legislation that would allow older people to commit suicide simply because they had, quote, finished living life. We've talked about the Groningen policy, which was passed in 2004 and laid out the guidelines for Dutch abortionists or Dutch doctors to legally dispatch severely disabled infants. And so the Netherlands has really been on the cutting edge of the culture of death for a very long time. That's always been a source of grief to me as somebody who is of Dutch heritage. My father was born there. Both sets of my grandparents were born there. Many of my friends and obviously my whole family is of Dutch heritage. So it was really refreshing to talk to my next guest, Kees Van Helden, and he is a major pro-life leader in the Netherlands. And he's been at the forefront of pioneering a lot of pro-life projects as well as lobbying politicians. And he's also been at the forefront of trying to raise awareness about what's actually going on in Dutch abortion clinics, especially as that story has attracted almost no notice. So I had Kees on the program, and he described what was going on. And I hope you find these updates as encouraging as I did. So for the Canadian and American listeners here, what is exactly happening in the Netherlands right now?
There are a lot of problems with the abortion clinics in the Netherlands. We have in the Netherlands now 15 abortion clinics, and by 8 of those abortion clinics there are very, very big problems because of fraud, and the 6 clinics are closed at this moment, and we are very thankful for it, but the fraud is very, very big. We have several things. One clinic is called CASA, and by CASA clinics they have 7 clinics all around the Netherlands, and they had declarations, they were too high, and the government in the Netherlands is paying every abortion for all the Dutch citizens, for the Dutch women. And they had declarations for more than 6 million, and too much declarations which is paid to the government. And they have to pay it back now. And on Saturday there were a lot of problems more because they had also declarations for non-existing clients. And that is about for 9 million euros. So for the Dutch abortion industry, is that a very, very big problem.
So is the Dutch abortion industry private clinics with contracts with the government, or is it actually just part of other healthcare facilities?
No, it's a private clinics. All the clinics are private clinics in the Netherlands, but the government is paying for every abortion in the Netherlands. It's not by an insurance. When you go to an abortion clinic and you are unwanted pregnant, then you can say you can have an abortion, and we pay it together. All the Dutch people in the Netherlands pay taxes to the government, and from those taxes they pay all the abortions in the Netherlands, and 31,000 abortions a year.
It's the same in Canada. We also publicly fund all of our abortions. I know in the United States, they're trying to make sure that doesn't happen. And so, how long has this been going on? Because this seems like a lot of money.
The first one, they have to. the first problem was starting in 2001 until 2014. When you have an abortion, I'm looking now for a word. I don't know what is the word in. Anesthesia. And when you have two doctors by the abortion, then you can give a declaration to the government, which is €100 higher as normal. They did it for every abortion, but they didn't have two doctors in the hospital or in the clinic. So they were not allowed to declare more, €100 more for each patient. So CASA did it for 5.9 million, and another clinic, that's an older private clinic, did it for almost €1 million. And in 2014, we've seen the papers that other abortion clinics were very angry because they knew that they did it, and they sent letters to the government, to the Minister of Healthcare, and they told them what was happening, and she didn't take care about it, and she let it go on. And now a Dutch newspaper found out that they had fraud for more than 6.7 million euros. But it's not an issue in the Netherlands. Nobody is talking about it. Everybody is talking about something else, and that's the biggest strange thing what we have. One of those clinics told the newspapers, we have a problem because we don't have enough people working in a clinic to help all the women who want to have an abortion. So she made the news, give the newspapers another item to talk about, and everybody forgot the fraud and is talking about the waiting time for all the women. And they are specialized in that clinic in late-term abortions. In the Netherlands we have, it's not so far as you in Canada, but we are allowed to do an abortion until 24 weeks in the Netherlands, and they are specialized from 13 weeks until 24 weeks. And she told the press, by the problems of the other 7 clinics, there are coming more women to our clinics, and they have to wait sometimes 3-4 weeks because it's too busy for us. And what if you are 20 weeks and you have to wait 4 weeks? Then you have to keep your baby what you don't want it. And all the Dutch newspapers are taking that news, and they forgot that she is also one of the 8 clinics who made fraud of anesthesia.
Well, I'm surprised that a Dutch newspaper would publish the fraud to begin with, because one of the problems with the Western media in general is that they do exactly what you're describing, which is to defend the abortion clinics. How did this story break in the first place?
Now, the newspaper who brought it in the news is a Christian newspaper.
Oh, okay.
So that's also the problem to spread the news to all the other newspapers, because they say, okay, that's the Christian, one of the 2 Christian newspapers in the Netherlands, and you don't have to believe it. And is it true, yes or no? But there is an organization in the Netherlands that it's called Follow the Money, and the Follow the Money is an organization who will check what is going on with the money from the government. And that's very interesting because they found out that CASA has a lot of things done more wrong than the Dutch Christian newspaper told, because they had non-existing clients and they declared the bill to the government, and the government paid, and that's about 9 million. That's from 2006 until 2015. We are talking about 1,500, perhaps 1,500 abortions a year by this clinic, that they got money for no clients. There were no clients, but they were false. And now we have had the elections in the Netherlands, and yesterday the news was coming out that there's preparing the new government now, and they had commitment, all the people from the government, and everybody is forgot the 9 million fraud, and they are talking about a new government. So we have a spiritual battle in the Netherlands. Absolutely.
So this fraud, what impact did it have on the abortion industry? You said some of the clinics had to shut down for a while?
Yeah. The 7 clinics of CASA, a few of them are shut down, totally shut down, and all the doctors are fired. And now the biggest problem what they have is there is no enough people to work in the clinics, because a lot of doctors who were fired find work somewhere else. But this happened in August of this year, and now a few of the 7, I thought it is 4 of them, work for half a day. They don't go further as 12 weeks pregnancy, and they used to go to 24 weeks. So there are a lot of people, they have problem, because where must we go to the abortion clinics? There are only 2 abortion clinics in the Netherlands at this moment who do abortions until up 24 weeks. And now by those 2 clinics, we more than usual we go to the clinics for sidewalk counseling. And we speak to a lot of women, really a lot of women, and we try to help them, to tell them that there are other possibilities. We have a special plan that we pay everything for the child for the first year. We buy the clothes for them, we buy the food, we buy everything what they need for the baby room. They got it free of us. So because 51% of all the women who have an abortion in the Netherlands gives the reason that they have no money for another child. So we offer them to pay it for 1 year. So if they say yes, then we have 1 year to go with them to look for more better possibilities for funding from other ways. And every month, at this moment, every month and every week, we find people, women who say, okay, if you really do that, I cancel my abortion appointment. And they went inside to the abortion clinic and they cancel the appointment, and we follow them. This moment we have about 60 young women who we are following now and helping. We give them a buddy, that's a young woman who give them advice. They walk with them. This buddy will buy the food, will buy the clothes, will buy the things she needs, and they give the bill to our organization, and we pay the buddy back, because a lot of young women don't have the money, and they how do I say it in English? They have to pay a lot of money to the bank.
Right.
So if we give them money to buy clothes, the bank says, okay, thank you for the money. It goes in the first time to us. So the buddy will take care of it. And so we are looking now in the Netherlands for more people who can do sidewalk counseling. So I hope and I pray that we have, for every day that those 2 clinics are open, that we have enough people to walk there. That should be very, very good. And another thing what's happening at this moment that's very surprising for us, because you said that if people, the Dutch newspapers don't talk about abortion clinics, they protect them. But the organization follow the money. The journalists of that organization, we have contact with them. We are talking to them. We are telling them a lot of things what happened, what we see by our health service from our organization, and they are open to receive our information, and they are checking it out. Because perhaps one example in Belgium, our neighbors, there is abortion allowed until 12 weeks. Some abortion doctors are working in the clinics in Belgium and also working in clinics by CASA in the Netherlands. A few days in Belgium and a few days in the Netherlands. We had a young girl of 18 years old, and called us. My wife is counselor by us, and she talked to her, and she said, the girl said, if my baby is 3.1 centimeter, how old is that baby? And we told her, we think it's about 9 weeks. And she started crying because she was in Belgium in the clinic, and the Dutch abortionist told her, yes, you're 3.1 centimeters big is your child, but you're 14 weeks pregnant, and 14 weeks is too far for Belgium, so you have to go to the Netherlands. They can help you over there. And you're very lucky because I'm working in Netherlands, and you can come to the Netherlands and I help you. She came the next week to the Netherlands. This abortionist helped her, and they made an ultrasound, and the nurse said, it's 3.2 centimeters now, and she got the abortion. But because she's not Dutch, she's Belgian citizen, she has to pay cash, and she has to pay €6,500
right.
to have that abortion. And that's very, very false, because if she had the abortion in Belgium, she had to pay only a small bill, about €3. That's all. But when she comes to Holland, she has to pay cash. It's not paid by the Dutch government, and so the abortionist lied to her to earn more money from her in Netherlands when he did it in Belgium. And also what happened, 2 days later she was at home, she started bleeding, and so much bleeding that she could scream for the boyfriend, and the boyfriend called the ambulance, and she almost died because of the bleeding. And the reason for this is that the abortion was not good enough in the Netherlands. So those things we told those journalists of Follow the Money, of that organization, and they are checking it out now, and a lot of other things. I think it's a very, very special time in the Netherlands for the abortion industry, because a lot of people are awake now, and they are asking questions what most Dutch newspapers don't like. So they have to talk about it.
It's really, really interesting. The reason I said the newspapers usually support the abortion industry is, as I'm sure you'll remember, the Planned Parenthood scandal and well, this is probably the 5th or 6th Planned Parenthood scandal in the United States, and every single time the newspaper tries to say that the videos are selectively edited and just essentially tries to discredit the investigation. So what's happening in Holland is even more interesting because of that. And one other thing that I'd be interested to know, and I know our listeners would as well, is in the United States there's a lot of polling data that shows that if you have to travel further, or it's more difficult to get an abortion, or the waiting period is longer, then less women have abortions, which is why pro-life politicians tried to pass laws that have these waiting periods and things like that. So with all of these clinics shut down right now in the Netherlands, have you seen a lot less abortions take place, or are you not aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that. I don't know what it's happening. What we see in the two clinics, two biggest clinics for late-term abortion, we see that they are working not only at daytime, they are working also at night. We see that a lot of people are coming, and still also our Minister of Healthcare told abortion clinics you have to stop abortions to foreign women. You have to help first the Dutch women who want to have an abortion. She told them in a paper, and she told also the government that it's one of the decisions. But what we see in the clinics, that the people from Germany, people from France, people from Poland, people from Belgium are still coming to the Netherlands for late-term abortions. And the Minister of Healthcare can say that she can say what she wants, but the women who are coming to a clinic are not patients; they are clients of the clinics. And if there's coming somebody from abroad, they can ask higher rates than when they help people from the Netherlands by themselves. So the abortion industry would never say to the foreign people, "I'm sorry, it's not possible for me to help you anymore," because the Minister of Healthcare is not allowed to say that to her. She can say it, but it's an advice. But the clinics never accept it. So it's very, very busy what we see by those abortion clinics at this moment. And I think what we see is the abortion pill. You've got them also in Canada and United States. Becomes even more popular because it's very fast. You give them an abortion clinic, the woman goes away and takes it 3 days later the other pills at home. And yeah, that's a big problem. That's a big problem because it's a horror pill. We've seen so many stories about women who take an abortion pill and they are bleeding so heavy at that moment that they have to go to the hospital. But the abortion clinics, they give very fast now the abortion pill because when you take a pill you can go and the next one is coming. So that's the reason that we started also the abortion reversal pill in the Netherlands. We've now a network of Dutch doctors who will help us by giving the other pills. And we started 1 month now with it, and we have different times that women are calling us. They regret the first abortion pill, and we start up the procedure for the reversal pill. It's very good that we have that possibility now also in the Netherlands. I think it will become very busy the next months in the Netherlands because the problems in Casa are so big that we think that the other all the clinics will be shut down within I think a month. The problems are too big, very big. The director, the first one is Bert van Herk. Bert van Herk is gone in 2015, and the new one has left the company this week. So there are no people who can run the clinic. So I think maybe a month, and then all the 7 clinics will shut down.
Wow.
Yeah. That's really wow.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is what are the Dutch newspapers now going to tell? Because on Saturday there was one newspaper told, and that's not a Christian newspaper, told about 9 million. The Dutch news broadcasting station NOS told about it. That's all. And then it stopped. Nobody is taking over the news. Just what happened by Planned Parenthood, by the undercover videos. Only the 2 Dutch Christian newspapers told about it. And the other newspapers, the only news they brought in the newspaper was that the videos are false. That's the only news they told.
Right.
Yeah, and that's we have the same problems as what you have. But this is surprising. It's amazing what's happening now in the Netherlands.
Yeah. Well, one final question for our listeners. Could you just tell our listeners a bit about the organization you work for and the Dutch pro-life movement, the work that you're doing in the Netherlands right now?
Okay. Now, I'm the minister of Dutch pro-life organization, one of a few pro-life organizations we have in the Netherlands. I started as minister 4 years ago. Together with my wife, we quit our job. Now we are full-time busy with pro-life work. My wife is serving the help service with 2 other women who are paid, and 10 women counselors in the Netherlands that are volunteers. And my job is to run the company, the organization, and to talk to the press. I write for the newspapers. I talk to the Christian people who are sitting in the government. We work together, and since 3 years we are working together with I'm trying to connect all the Dutch pro-life organizations, pro-life insurances, and now we start last year, and it's very good what happened. We had a week of life in the Netherlands. In that week of life, with 7 pro-life organizations, we made commercials to the radio stations, the most popular radio stations, and in that commercials, we talked about the message: 1 of the 7 pregnancies end in an abortion. And a lot of people were very angry about us because we talked about that. But people start talking about it, and that's what we want. This year we have also a week of life in the first week of December, and we have new radio commercials. I'm just preparing it. I'm listening to some proposals from the maker, and the message is: when starts your heart beating? And your heart starts beating at 21 days after conception. That's in a commercial, and we broadcast it to all the Dutch popular radio stations a whole week. And what we see now, the Netherlands, a lot of people are busy with it, because last weekend we had the advertisements for fundraising, because we need 50,000 euros for this project. And the money is coming in at this moment, and a lot of people are talking about it. And by the end of this week, we have the March of Life in the Netherlands. Last year we had 5,000 people. The year before we had 2,500 people. So in 1 year it doubled. But now, this year, we have in The Hague, that's the town for the government. There's a big place, and that's Malieveld. On that place there can be 100,000 until 100,000 till 150,000 people, and at this moment we are expecting 30,000 people, I think, at this moment. So, and we have still 6 to 7 weeks to go. So that will be very, very big this year. So that's my job, to do those things, to work together with the other organizations, to talk to with the Christian people in the government, to run our company. We work with 5.5 paid people, and we have 200 volunteers all over the Netherlands.
Awesome. Well, Kees, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yes. Thank you for calling me, and for the possibility to talk about the problems here in the Netherlands.